evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Drishti from Team Proposition, and we firmly believe that A-levels are the most beneficial curriculum in comparison to the IB program. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine yourself as a teenager who knows what they want to pursue as a career for sure. Can you see yourself taking extra subjects when you know that it wouldn't be useful at all when it comes to university? For example, you want to be a psychiatrist in the future, and with A-levels, it'll allow you to pursue this dream by specializing in the 3 subjects you require the most, which would be psychology, biology, and chemistry. But in the IB program, you'll be asked to study these 6 subjects and 3 external unnecessary components alongside this. A-levels allow you to focus on 3 subjects that relate to the course you want to study at university in depth, rather than taking a vast majority of subjects and briefly learning the content. So what are A-levels? They're traditional qualifications offered by schools and colleges for 16 to 19-year-olds at a level above the GCSEs. They're highly valued by universities and employers and focus on academic subjects. Whereas in the IB program, students are required to do math, English, science, and a language at any level as a compulsion, and students only have the ability to choose 2 extra subjects based on preference, which restricts and pressurizes students. The A-level program qualifies you to the extent where you can streamline your career route and make a foolproof plan to support your college education needs. This will also allow students to recognize their interests, strengths, and keep track of their career progression. Accepted. The British curriculum offers GCSE qualifications before you do your A-levels, which is like from years 9 to 11, which allows you to explore your subject options. Moving on, the A-levels are recognized globally and is offered and accepted in 170 countries, especially in the UK, where the admission system is geared towards A-levels, and as for the US, they don't have a prescribed curriculum. This makes A-levels an easy medium to prove your ability to meet international standards of excellence with more personalization. Additionally, most universities look for students who show commitment and dedication, which is shown by the specialization in selective subject options and shows consistent performance.
30 seconds.
In conclusion, we have chosen A-levels because we believe that the program of study should be tailored individually to each pupil rather than molding the pupil to fit the qualification. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Boldy, and I'm the first speaker for the opposition. And today, I will be arguing to you guys why I think and why my team thinks that it is an absolutely ridiculous statement to say that the A-levels is simply the best qualification and a better qualification than the IB diploma. First, I'd like to start by rebutting a few points made by the first speaker of the proposition. You say that the A-level is a good thing because it allows students to specialize at a young age because they know what they want to do. I would rebut that by saying that I've never actually met a teenager who actually knows exactly what they want to do, who is fully decisive in their choices. Usually they'll say, oh, I want to become maybe a mechanical engineer, but at the same time, I kind of like biology. Well, the IB diploma gives you that open pathway, and it allows you to actually make the choices at university and not have to make them at this young, crucial age. Because really, if you're forced to make them now, that is kind of harmful to your education. You're really limited and constricted in your options. Now, to make my points, I would like to first say that because of the increased workload from the IB, because nobody can really deny it, the IB is tough. You've got 6 subjects, twice as many as you would take in the A-levels, plus the core. However, that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because what it teaches you is how to time manage, and it teaches you
Point of
how
information.
Accepted.
Don't you think it's a risk for students to develop their time management skills during a period of their lives where it's so crucial for them to stay focused on their studies?
A risk? I think it's a blessing. because if you're a student who's learning to time manage at this crucial age, you're going to carry those skills on to university and then to your working life, because the real world is tough. It's not an easy walk in the park. It's not you memorize a textbook, you say it onto a page, boom, you've got 3 A stars. You've got to actually work at it. You've got to understand the content, and you've got to put in the effort so that when you go into university, you come out on top. What I believe is that the IB also teaches you necessary skills for essay writing, as well as how to think independently and how to learn, or as our team likes to call it, learning squared. So because of the extended essay that the IB forces you to write, it teaches you how to write a dissertation style, an academic style of writing, how to reference. These are all skills that are essential at university, and you don't normally get taught at sixth form unless you take the IB. And if you do actually take the IB, once you get to university, all the A-level students are actually going to have to catch up to you. Thank you.
Second speaker for the proposition.
Good afternoon, honorable adjudicators, fellow teammates, and our worthy opponents. We as a team firmly believe that A-levels are a much better pathway for students going into year 12 and 13 over IB. My name is Zaid Shahbaz Ali, and as second speaker for Team Proposition, I will be going over some of our team's main points to try and fully convince you to choose A-levels for your children. These days, colleges often look further than one's academic achievements, to their portfolio. For those who are unaware, a student portfolio is a compilation of academic work and other forms of educational evidence, including extracurricular activities and achievements. Colleges often look for students who have a diverse portfolio, as they have time to do, as this further benefits their college themselves. Students doing A-levels oftentimes have ample time to work on their portfolio, as they have time to do extracurriculars, service, internships, and much, much more. The same cannot be said for IB. IB students have to take 3 more subjects, do the theory of knowledge, extended essay, and CAS. All of this means that they have much less time to spend on working on their student portfolio. On top of all that, during year 13, students will be writing college applications and essays, which will also contribute to their time. This means that students doing IB will have a lot less time to work on their portfolio. Does anyone know the difference between a marathon and a sprint? A sprint is a short distance run, and a marathon is a long distance run. Generally, people choose to run their fullest speed during a sprint, and they generally choose to run a shorter, more constant pace during a marathon. Well, for IB, you need to run a full-speed marathon. This is because for IB, you need to be a long-distance learner to do well. It requires consistent work and solid performance over the 2 years. While everyone else has to be on for 1 year, you need to be on for 2. And exams aren't spread out either, which means that come the end of your final year in IB, you will need to be tested on 2 years, and you need to have just as strong an understanding of the material taught at the beginning of the course than at the end of the course. This 2-year commitment seems like a lifetime for young students. This, combined with the immense workload that comes with IB, makes it very difficult, and this means that it doesn't always result in success. In contrast, A-levels is more like a sprint. My final point is that the transition between GCSE and A-levels is much easier than the transition from GCSE to IB. This is because they have similar learning styles and a curriculum and a grading system, which focus more on end-of-year exams. Also, they have a more holistic testing style compared to A-levels and GCSE, which has a more specific testing style. I hope I have convinced you all to choose A-levels for your students over IB, as it is a much better pathway for success. Thank you.
Speaker 2 for the opposition.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vedang Sapolian. I'm the second speaker for the opposition, going against the motion that A-levels are a superior education program to the IB. I'd like to begin with a few rebuttals that the proposition has brought up. First of all, yes, it is true that universities look for students that are good at many things, all-rounders. They want students who are leaders, people who know about the world, and people who can cope with the pressure of the real world. Yeah, that's what the IB program teaches you to do. The Times Higher Education website states that 94% of students think that IB encourages more independent inquiry. 65% think that it develops more work skill. IB looks for more well-rounded people and develops your students and your children into better and more global and holistic individuals. You see, IB gives our students skills that are helpful in the workplace. For example, it teaches us to better cope with pressure, create a global outlook, and develop a better self-image and have better self-management skills. Now, isn't this what you want in your child? A show of hands, please. Do you want your students and children to become mindless, focused robots? No, exactly. You want them to be more holistic people, better at many things than just one. The IB course allows you to do that. Now, I'd like to bring up a point that was brought up by the proposition team. A full-speed marathon. Of course, yes. A full-speed marathon is what athletes run. Not just any athletes, Olympic athletes. And you know who they are? The best of the best. The IB program teaches you and your children to become the best of the best and to succeed better in the real world. And the thing is, sure, the exams are not spread out around the school year, making us better to know how our progress is. But life isn't built around tests. Life is built upon the application of knowledge. And Post-16 teaches us this. School is not about learning the content that you're going to study in the future. School is about learning how to learn, thus learning squared. A point has been brought up by proposition that it makes it easier to move from GCSEs to A-level because we already take GCSEs right now. I agree, sure it is. But moving from IB to university is easier, and subsequently moving from IB to the real world is easier too. I'd like to conclude my speech by saying that yes, the IB course is miles above the A-levels course. Why? Because it makes your students and your children more holistic, because it makes them better global individuals and global citizens. I'd like to urge you all to consider IB above A-levels when picking your child's post-16 education. Thank you.
And the final speaker for the proposition.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and my very worthy opponents. My name is Raya Mahmood, and I am the third and final speaker for Team Proposition. And we, without a shadow of a doubt, stand with today's motion that this House believes that A-levels is a better curriculum than IB. I would like to begin with a few rebuttals. Time and time again, Team Opposition has continuously stated that IB is more globally recognized, and these students are more likely to get accepted in universities outside of the UK. However, with the thorough research that my team and I have conducted, we have found that the number of A-level graduates studying in the US has increased by an astounding amount of 20% in the past 5 years. It's beyond the realm of my understanding on how this curriculum deprives a student of a good foreign education. Team Opposition has painted a picture in which students become enriched because of the range of subjects they're studying, when in reality, IB is the epitome of the saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none." This figure of speech is used in reference to someone who dabbles in many different skills rather than focusing on one specific skill. And this is exactly what the IB curriculum promotes. Through my research, I have found that exclusivity and specialization is the key to success. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the A-level promotes. In conclusion, for the benefit of my team, I would like to reinstate the crucial points brought out by Team Proposition. As my team has clearly stated, we aim at facilitating development, and we strongly believe that this can be achieved by the monochromic focal point this curriculum provides for your future. For an ambitious student who has already made the decisions on the careers they choose to pursue, A-levels is easily the more advantageous choice. They get to study their respective subjects more in depth and gain a better understanding on their careers, which gives them an automatic head start for university. In today's day and age, time is of the essence. And we should spend this time cultivating our knowledge in choosing subjects that we want to learn. Instead, we have to spend time learning languages, which certainly won't be beneficial to me when I'm studying genetics in medical school or astrophysics in engineering school. Lastly, let's not forget about the colossal amounts of pressure applied on these IB students. They find it close to impossible to maintain a balance in their lives due to the never-ending deadlines. What is the point of robbing these students of their free time by making them study subjects they're likely to never see again in their lives? This time could be spent on supplementing their academics or extracurricular activities to help develop the growth of you as an individual person, because that is what the A-Levels strives for. And this is why we strongly believe that A-Levels is a better curriculum than IB.
Final speaker for the proposition.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jan, and I'm the third speaker for Team Opposition. We firmly disagree with the motion that A-Levels is the better superior higher education pathway for post-16. The proposition team have painted you this picture. The IB is so pressurizing. Why are you putting your children through this? Ladies and gentlemen, that's what the real world is like. Yes, the transition from GCSE to A-level might be a lot easier, but as my second speaker stated, the transition from IB to university, the transition then on is a lot easier when taking the IB. The other argument brought up by Team Proposition was that A-level students have the opportunity to develop a more diverse portfolio. Again, incorrect, because the IB does this for you. Doing CAS, you do this simultaneously doing your 6 subjects. Moving on to my team's case. IB provides essential life skills you need. You need to know how to write an essay. You need to know how to balance 6 subjects and 3 core subjects. You need to know how to manage your time. And this is why IB is better than A-level. Next, students learn how they learn. Of course, this has been said multiple times in our debate, but it's true. With the A-level, you're given a textbook, you're given 3 subjects, that's it. With the IB, yes, you're given a textbook, you're given 6 subjects, but you're told to write your essays and your exams the way you want. Individualistic learning. That is exactly what university is like. Yes, it is true. The IB makes students work very, very, very hard. But isn't that what separates us from A-levels? Isn't that what makes us far better than A-levels? Now, the 3 points of clash in this debate have been time management, specialization, and workload. Yes, A-levels does allow you to specialize more. IB, you are allowed to specialize, but not to the extent of A-levels. If your child knows exactly what they want to do for university and for their major, A-levels might be the better choice. But let me tell you this. When you enter university, or when your child enters university, the A-level and the IB will get you the same grade, but they won't get you the same person. The IB develops you as a character. The IB develops you holistically. And that is why the IB is far better than the A-level. Thank you.
As the adjudicator, I'm now meant to decide on a winner of the debate, and I feel like you might accuse me of bias if I decide on one particular one. So I think I'm going to, and you can say I'm copping out on this, I'm going to cop out a little bit on this and say, go back to my original argument, which is this is about pathways to success. I hope from the debate you've been able to see that actually A-levels and IB are about what works for you, because both sides have presented really very excellent arguments. So I am going to cop out and say it's a draw. Sorry. Can we please give our students a round of applause? I think they're excellent. Thank you, please. There are World Scholars Cup scholars, and thank you, and they're absolutely excellent. I'd like now to continue with the idea of students telling you about what the IB is. So I'm going to invite. There we go. I'm going to invite Mehek and Connor onto the stage. Mehek and Connor are currently studying the IB, and they're here this afternoon to tell you about their experiences, on why they chose the IB, and why it's working for them. So Mehek, Connor, please.